The story of Joseph and his brothers in the Bible. Welcome to my video. The story of Joseph and his brothers is one of the most remarkable accounts recorded in the Bible. It is a story of family conflict, jealousy, betrayal, suffering, forgiveness, and the sovereign plan of God. As believers, we can clearly see that God is always at work, even when circumstances appear painful and confusing. Joseph's life teaches us that the Lord is faithful to those who trust him, and that his purposes cannot be stopped by human hatred or evil intentions. The account begins in the book of Genesis. Joseph was the 11th son of Jacob, also known as Israel, and he was deeply loved by his father because he had been born to Rachel, Jacob's beloved wife. Genesis 37:3 says in the New King James Version, "Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic of many colors." This special love created resentment among Joseph's brothers, who became increasingly jealous whenever they saw the favor their father showed him. God also revealed his purpose for Joseph through dreams. In one dream, Joseph and his brothers were binding sheaves in the field, and the sheaves belonging to his brothers bowed before his own sheaf. In another dream, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down before him. When Joseph shared these dreams with his family, his brothers became even more hostile toward him. They viewed his dreams as a claim that one day he would rule over them, while Jacob kept these matters in his heart and wondered about their meaning. Not long afterward, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers as they were tending the family's flocks. When the brothers saw Joseph approaching from a distance, their jealousy turned into a wicked plan. Genesis 37:20 records their words. "Come therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit, and we shall say, some wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what will become of his dreams." Reuben, however, did not want Joseph to be murdered. He persuaded his brothers to throw Joseph into an empty pit instead, intending to rescue him later. While Reuben was away, Judah suggested another idea. Rather than killing Joseph, they sold him to a group of Ishmaelite traders for 20 pieces of silver. Joseph was taken away to Egypt as a slave, separated from his father and everything he had ever known. To hide their terrible sin, the brothers dipped Joseph's colorful robe in the blood of a young goat and brought it to Jacob. Believing that a wild animal had killed his beloved son, Jacob mourned deeply and refused to be comforted. The brothers succeeded in deceiving their father, but they could never hide their actions from God. The Lord sees every secret deed and every hidden motive of the human heart. Although Joseph had been betrayed by his own family, God had not abandoned him. In Egypt, Joseph was sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Even as a servant in a foreign land, the Lord remained with Joseph. Genesis 39:2 declares, "The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man." Joseph served faithfully, and God blessed everything entrusted to his care. Joseph's integrity was soon tested when Potiphar's wife repeatedly tried to tempt him into sin. Joseph refused because he feared God and desired to remain faithful to him. He answered, "How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" When Joseph rejected her advances, she falsely accused him, and he was thrown into prison. Once again, an innocent man suffered because of the sins of others. Yet even inside the prison walls, God's presence never left Joseph. The Lord continued to show him mercy and gave him favor before those who watched over the prison. Joseph's life reminds every believer that faithfulness to God does not always remove hardship, but it does guarantee God's presence through every trial. The Lord was preparing Joseph for a purpose far greater than he could imagine, even while everything around him appeared to be falling apart. At this stage, if this video is interesting, take a moment to engage with it by liking, commenting, and sharing it. While Joseph remained in prison, God continued to work behind the scenes. 2 of Pharaoh's officials, the chief butler and the chief baker, were imprisoned with him. Both men had troubling dreams on the same night, and Joseph explained that interpretations belong to God. Through God's wisdom, Joseph correctly interpreted both dreams. The butler was restored to his position, while the baker was executed exactly as Joseph had foretold. Although Joseph asked the butler to remember him, he was forgotten for 2 more years. Yet God's timing is always perfect. When Pharaoh himself experienced 2 disturbing dreams that none of Egypt's wise men could interpret, the butler finally remembered Joseph. Joseph was brought before Pharaoh and humbly declared that God alone could provide the interpretation. He explained that the dreams revealed 7 years of great abundance, followed by 7 years of severe famine. Joseph advised Pharaoh to appoint a wise administrator to store grain during the years of plenty so that Egypt would survive the coming famine. Recognizing that the Spirit of God was with Joseph, Pharaoh appointed him as governor over Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself. Joseph's years of suffering had become God's preparation for a position of extraordinary responsibility. Genesis 41:41 records Pharaoh's words. "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt, just as God had revealed. 7 years of plentiful harvests were followed by a devastating famine. The famine spread beyond Egypt into the surrounding nations, including Canaan, where Jacob and Joseph's brothers lived. Hearing that grain was available in Egypt, Jacob sent his sons there to buy food. They stood before Joseph without recognizing him, but Joseph immediately recognized them. The dreams God had given him many years earlier were beginning to come true as his brothers bowed before him. Joseph tested his brothers to discover whether their hearts had changed. He eventually instructed that his younger brother Benjamin be brought to Egypt. When Benjamin arrived, Joseph saw genuine concern and love among his brothers. Judah even offered himself in Benjamin's place, rather than allow their father to suffer another heartbreaking loss. Their actions revealed repentance and transformed character. Unable to control his emotions any longer, Joseph revealed his identity. Genesis 45:4 says, "Then Joseph said to his brothers, 'Please come near to me.' So they came near. Then he said, 'I am Joseph your brother, whom you sold into Egypt.' Instead of seeking revenge, Joseph comforted them with words that have encouraged believers throughout the generations. He declared in Genesis 45:5, 'But now, do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves, because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life.' Joseph instructed his brothers to bring Jacob and their entire households to Egypt, where they would be cared for during the remaining years of famine. When Jacob learned that Joseph was still alive, his sorrow was turned into overwhelming joy. Father and son were reunited after many years of separation, and the family settled safely in Egypt under Joseph's protection. After Jacob died, Joseph's brothers feared that he might finally take revenge. Instead, Joseph reassured them once more with one of the Bible's greatest declarations of God's sovereignty. Genesis 50:20 says, "But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive." Joseph forgave his brothers completely and continued to provide for them and their families. The story of Joseph and his brothers reminds every believer that God is faithful in every season of life. He can transform betrayal into blessing, suffering into spiritual growth, and hardship into a testimony of His grace. Even when people act with evil intentions, the Lord remains in complete control and accomplishes His perfect purposes. Joseph's life points us toward trusting God with unwavering faith, walking in integrity, extending forgiveness to others, and believing that God's plans are always wiser and greater than our own. Now, finally, before you leave, if this video is valuable, do not forget to engage with it by liking, commenting, and sharing it. Endeavor to watch my other videos also to learn more. Goodbye until my next videos.